Hello everyone, it's day 52 and today I have April 24 Indian Express newspaper and there are few important articles over explained page but there is one important article over this world page which is regarding the reducing of methane emission from paddy cultivation and today is 24th April, so this was the date when Keshav Bharti case judgment was announced on 24th April 1973, so this day is remembered for that purpose also. And moreover, Panchayati Raj institution, that is 73rd or amendment act, was also passed on 24th April 1993, if I do not if I'm not wrong. So it is also known as Panchayati Raj Day. So coming back to the or important article and newspaper discussion, so this article is about paddy contributes 8% of all human made methane in atmosphere. So let us see what type of innovation Vietnam's paddy farmers have done. So there is one thing that distinguishes 60-year-old Vo Van Van's rice field from the mosaic of thousands of other emerald fields across Long An province in southern Vietnam's Mekong Delta. It isn't entirely flooded. That and the giant drone, its wingspan similar to that of an eagle, chuffing high above at as it rains organic fertilizer into the knee-high rice seedlings, uh, billowing below. Using less water and using a drone to fertilize are new techniques that one is trying, and Vietnam hopes will help solve a paradox at the heart of growing rice. The finicky crop isn't just vulnerable to climate change but also contributes uniquely to it. Rice rice must be grown separately from other crops, and seedlings have to be individually planted in flooded fields. Back breaking dirty work require a lot of labor and water that generates a lot of methane, a potent planet warming gas that can trap more than 80 times more heat in the atmosphere in the short term than carbon dioxide. So it's a problem unique to growing rice, as in inundated field stop oxygen from entering the soil, creating the conditions for methane producing bacteria. Rice paddies contribute 8% of all human made methane in the atmosphere, according to the 2023 Food and Agricultural Organization report. So this is important. Rice paddies contribute 8% of all human made. So this is as per FAO report, methane report. So Vietnam is the world's third largest rice exporter, and staple importance to Vietnamese culture is palpable in the Mekong Delta. The fertile patchwork of the green fields crisscrossed by the silvery waterways has helped starve of famine since the Vietnam War ended in 1975. So Van has been working with one of the Vietnam's largest rice exporters, the Loc Troy Group, which for the past 2 years, and is using a different method of irrigation known as the alternative wetting and drying, or AWD. So this is important thing, alternative wetting and drying, AWD. This requires less water than traditional farming. Since the paddy fields aren't continuously submerged, they also produce less methane. So using the drone to fertilize the crops saves on labor costs. With climate shocks pushing a migration to cities, Vaughan said that it's harder to find people to work the farms. It also ensures precise amount of fertilizers are applied. Too much fertilizers causes the soil to release earth warming gases. Once crops are harvested, Van no longer burns the rice stubble, a major cause of air pollution in the Vietnam and its neighbors, as well as Thailand and India. Instead, it's collected by the Lock Stroy Group for sale to other companies that uses it as a livestock feed and for growing straw mushrooms, a popular addition to stir fries. So Vaughn benefits in various ways. His costs are down while his farm yield is the same. Using organic fertilizer enables him to sell to European markets where customers are willing to pay a premium to organic rice. So Lok Stroy Group CEO Nagyun Dui Thuan said that those methods enable farmers to use 40% less rice seed, and 30% less water. So costs for pesticide, fertilizer, and labor are also lower. Thuan said Lok Stroy, which exports to more than 40 countries, including in Europe, Africa, and the United States and Japan, is working with the farmers to expand acreage using its method from the current 100 hectares to 300,000 hectares. That's still a long way from Vietnam's own target of growing high quality, low emission rice. on 1 million hectares of farmland and area more than 6 times the size of London by 2030. So, few important things to note down. First is rice paddies contribute 8% of all human-made methane in the atmosphere, as per the FAO report. And another is alternate wetting and drying, or AWT. So we have to see methane report, who published methane report, and methane global methane group is also there. So we have to see what these two things are there. So coming onto the explained page, the important article over this page is regarding the ethylene oxide. So the pesticide and carcinogenic have been found in the popular Indian masala brands abroad. So, Food and Safety Organization will still conduct checks on the products of Spice brand MDH and Everest Group after authorities in the Hong Kong and Singapore last week determined that four of their spice mixes contained a high level of ethylene oxide. So, what is ethylene oxide? This is important thing to know. So, Kanika Narang, a nutritionist at Indraprasth Apollo Hospitals, New Delhi, said ethylene oxide is a pesticide that has been classified as a Group 1 carcinogen by the International Agency for Research on Cancer, meaning there is a sufficient evidence from human studies that it can cause cancer. So, ethylene oxide, an industrial chemical, is a colorless, highly flammable. So, it is chemical is colorless, highly flammable, and a reactive gas that kills bacteria, virus, and fungi. It is used by the spice industries as a fumigant to reduce microbial contamination. So, Hong Kong's Food Safety Authority found its traces in the packets of MDH curry powders, sambar powders, and fish curry powders. The Singapore Food Agency found the presence of ethylene oxide in the Everest fish curry powder. So, how it can it impact the health? So, doctors advise extreme caution when it comes to consuming food containing ethylene oxide, even at low levels. While the risk from occasional and low level exposure may be minimal, spices and spice blends like those flagged are commonly used in household cooking across multiple dishes. This can lead to the chronic persistent exposure over time, which has been linked to an increased risk of cancer like leukemia, stomach cancer, and breast cancer, Narang said. It can even lead to respiratory irritation and lung injury, headache, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and shortness of breath. Until more rigorous testing and remedies are undertaken by the brands involved, consumers should avoid the identified products entirely, she said. So, where else is it banned? The European Union banned ethylene oxide in 2011 for fumigation of food and animal feed during transport and storage. Its use is now only permitted in disinfections and sterilization of medical devices. So, this was about ethylene oxide. So, it's important to know what it is and how it's function. So, it is a carcinogenic chemical used by the uh, spice industry. So, another article is about reservation for Muslim and Andhra Pradesh case and issues before the court. So, at an election rally in Tonk in Rajasthan on Tuesday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said the Congress has often tried to give reservation to Muslims by reducing the quota for SC, STs, and OBCs. The PM specifically cited attempts at providing 5% quota for Muslim in Andhra Pradesh as a pilot project which Congress wanted to try in the entire country. So, reservation for Muslims. Several Muslim communities are included in the other backward classes reservation both at the central and state levels. The criteria for the OBC quota is social and educational backwardness. Article 16, Clause 4 of the Constitution provides for reservation for a backward class of citizen which, in the opinion of the state, is not adequately represented in the services under the state. The OBC quota works differently in different states. In Karnataka, for example, Muslim had 4% sub quota within the 32% OBC quota, which the Baswaraj Bommai government in 2023 redistributed among Voka Ligas and Lingayats. So Kerala has an 8% Muslim quota in its 30% OBC quota. Several states including Tamil Nadu and Bihar have Muslim caste groups in their OBC quota. So Andhra Pradesh quota, let us see. In Andhra Pradesh, as per the 2011 census, Muslim constitute about 9.5% of the population. So Muslim groups such as the uh, Dude Kula, Ladakh, Pinjari, Nurbash, and Mehtar are included in the state OBC list, which have quotas ranging from 7% to 10%. However, there had been a push in the undivided state to follow the Karnataka and the Kerala model to include all Muslims in the OBC category. So first attempt it was in June 2004, just a month after the Congress came to power in the state, a government order was issued to the Commissionerate of Minorities Welfare, whose ex officio head was the state's principal secretary, to look into the social, economic, and educational condition of Muslim community in the state to include them as OBC. So in July 2004, the Commissionerate wrote to the government recommending 5% reservation to Muslim minorities in employment, education, and other fields on par with the backward class in the state. The recommendation was implemented a week later. On September 21, 2004, a five-judge bench of the Andhra Pradesh High Court struck down the quota as unsustainable. The court's ruling was primarily on two grounds. First, the quota was brought without being referred to the Backward Class Commission, which was mandated by the state's 1993 Backward Classes Act, and second, that the quota did not exclude the creamy layer and allowed reservation to Muslims as a whole. The High Court also issued a direction to the state government to reconstitute the Commission for Backward Classes, and on such reconstitution of the Commission for Backward Classes, the government shall initiate the process of consultation and forward the necessary material, including the GOMs number 33 to the Commission for Backward Classes. However, one of the key question before the court before the court was whether the Muslim as a group are entitled to affirmative actions, social reservation within the constitutional dispensation or not. So, on this aspect, the High Court ruled affirmatively. Reservation for Muslim or section group among them is in no manner militate against secularism, which is a part of the basic structure of the constitution. The concept of secularism is based on benign neutrality to benefit all, including religious groups, and it seeks to advance good for all, including religious groups, the court said. So, second attempt, it was in June 2005. The state government brought another ordinance which again gave a 5% quota to Muslims. In October, when the ordinance was under challenge before the High Court, the government replaced it with legislation. This time, the Backward Class Commission had recommended that entire Muslim community is socially, educationally, and economically backward, and therefore steps shall be taken for providing reservation to the members of the Muslim community for improving their social, education, and economic condition. The law stated that while the total reservation of the state SC/ST OBC at that time added up to the 46%, an additional 5% Muslims was justifiable even though it crossed the Indra Sahni threshold of 50%. The backward classes population in the state comes to more than 77% of the total population, and therefore a further reservation of 5% in favor of Muslim community in addition to existing 46% of social reservation is considered to be just and reasonable, the law said. However, the High Court once again struck down the quota on the ground that the committee did not rely on objectives criteria to conclude that Muslims as a group were backward in Andhra Pradesh. So the failure of the commission to recognize the established heterogeneity of the Muslims, its failure to proceed on data collections, statistical, social, educational, and economic analysis of the data so collected, restricted to Muslims, excluding those classes groups of Muslim already identified as and recognized by the government as backward classes, constitutes a fatal law in the conceptual foundation, adopted methodology, and social survey of the Commission's exercise, and introduces an irredeemable infirmity to its conclusions and recommendations, the court said. The ruling of the High Court was challenged before the Supreme Court. In 2010, in an interim order, the Supreme Court directed that status quo be maintained till the court had heard the issue. Before the High Court's ruling of 2005, some college admissions were made allowing the 5% quota. The top court's interim order issued no prejudice to to these admissions. The final hearing in the Supreme Court case was scheduled in 2022. However, since one of the issue involved was the Indra Sahni 50% limit on quota, the Supreme Court had said that it would hear the case after the economic weaker section quota issue was decided. The EWS quota, which is also in excess to the 50% ceiling, was cleared by the Supreme Court in November 2022. However, the AP quota issue is yet to be heard. So this was about the reservation for Muslims, and so that's all important articles from today's newspaper. For more important articles, we'll meet tomorrow. Till then,